Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's Mo Money with episode 9 review of The Last Dance, and it starts with a few interesting clips of Reggie Miller and Michael Jordan. Reggie's having a conversation, and they're showing clips of one when Reggie and Michael had a little skirmish earlier in his career. I think they said it was 93, and it looked like they were ready to fight. There was another clip of Michael being so frustrated with the Indiana Pacers team that he bounced the ball off of Mark Jackson's head. And there was a third clip from Reggie's rookie year where he was playing a preseason game and he said, "This is Michael Jordan, this is who you are." And he had 10 points in the first half and he had 2 points in the second half. And I think it later came out that Michael had 44 points in that game. And he said that was the last time I disrespected Michael, or the last time I called him Michael Jordan. He referred to him as Black Cat or something different. And that's how it starts. And they go to the Eastern Conference Finals in 1998. The first game is really close. It's a back and forth type game, which the Bulls end up winning. And then in game two, the Bulls kind of pull away from Indiana, taking a 2-0 lead. And they're showing Reggie in the press conference going, "We got to win game three. It's Monday. We got to battle back." And it's a back and forth game. I think it's actually, no, game three, Indiana wins because I think Reggie had 30-something points. And then game four was the back and forth game where they're going up and down the court battling with each other. And then there was a controversial play where Reggie had slightly admits to, but not really, pushing up Mike. There's a little bit of a push there to open up space. He's having a lot of fun with the documentary, I'm guessing. Reggie hits the shot, and there's still time on the clock. And in the end, the people in the stadium are going crazy. And there's this shot of Larry Bird with the serious look on his face. We ain't won nothing yet. And the Bulls inbound the ball. Of course, it goes to Mike. He double clutches, and the ball goes in and out. And then the series is tied at 2. And then in a twist, the documentary then goes to 1997. And they show the Utah Jazz getting past the Rockets, the Houston Rockets, to play Michael in the 1997 NBA Finals. And if you're enjoying this review and the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. But in game one, again, it was a close game. The Bulls won by 2 points, 1-0. And then same thing, they breezed their way through game two. They're up 2-0 going back to Utah, but then Karl Malone has 37 points in a 2-1 series. And then game four, Utah edges Chicago again, and they're sitting in the press conference with Michael, and they're saying, "Mike, what has to change in game 5?" And this is where we get the whole "still got to come through Chicago" bit. He goes, "Dallas, Utah, still got to come through Chicago." It's one of the most famous sound bites in league history, I'd imagine. So game 5 comes, they're back and forth. This is the flu game as well. Oh yes, Jordan got hungry, ordered pizza. They said there was like delivery guys, and so nobody else ate the pizza, but Michael was hungry, and he said at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, he was curled up in a ball, and everybody was looking for a doctor, and his mom actually advised him not to play. That's how bad it was. But he's like, "I gotta play. It's game 5." And he told Phil, "I can go, even if I'm just being a decoy," he says. "I can go." And the Jazz predictably get off to a great start, and the Bulls battle back. And of course, Michael and the Bulls, if you remember, end up winning this game, and that's when you get the magical shot of Scotty embracing Mike, and Mike looking like he's about to fall over, like he's leaning on Scotty for support. Bulls win game 6, and Jordan also tells a story about how Byron Russell was trash talking him, and he said from that point on he was on his list because he told Carl, "Better check your man, basically. And Carl said, "Oh, he's just a rookie." So anyway, the story continues, and after they beat the Jazz in 6 and 97, go to the Steve Kerr bit, which is an interesting twist. And they tell Steve Kerr's story before Game 6 in Utah, actually. And I skipped over this, but they talk about how Steve Kerr wasn't the most highly touted. He wasn't the best player, and he didn't even have a scholarship, so he didn't really have a place to go. Till Arizona offered him a scholarship to go to college, and Steve said that he took it without even visiting Arizona, just happened to have a place to go. And they tell the story about his father being an educator and going over to Beirut, and how when Steve was in school, he threw himself into basketball after the tragedy of his dad's passing. And he got a phone call at 3 in the morning, and he went to practice the next day because he didn't know what else to do. But then you talked about his being drafted by Phoenix. They kept him around for a year. He got moved to Cleveland, and that's where they played a lot of Michael. And he said he actually studied John Paxson. And John said, it was my last year. Took him under my wing, and I tried to tell him that he has to trust you wholeheartedly, and so on and so forth. And Steve was like, even when Steve was doing a sit-down interview, he's like, didn't bond over that stuff because it was just too painful for us, I guess. And it was a real good look into what Steve was doing. And then they did talk about Game 6, and I kind of the ending. But the one important part was the game was close at the end, and it was like, I know what's going to happen when they double team me. Steve's going to be open, and he said, "Steve, be ready." And Steve's like, "I'll be ready. I'll be ready." So they come down. The double team comes. Everybody's expecting Mike to shoot. Mike passes it to Steve, and Steve hits the shot to win Game 6. But the funnier part was when they were at the parade, and they got Steve Kerr up at the podium, and he's like, yeah, in the huddle, and Phil goes, "Mike, I want you to take the last shot." And Mike tells Phil, "I'm not really comfortable in these situations. Let's go to Steve." And I said, "Well, guess I got to bail Michael out again." And the shot went in, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, he says. And then we go back to present day Indiana in 1998, and we don't even get to see what happens in games 5 and 6. They just tell us they split the next 2 games and they're going to Game 7. And then they talk about how Gus, Michael's security guard, was with him after his dad's passing, and how would always be there for Mike. And then Gus got sick, and Mike was the first to notice, and he told his wife to take him to the hospital. And they just became even closer after that. And Mike in the documentary says, "I needed Gus around." And so what ends up happening is he's like, "I want to win this game for Gus, this Game 7." And it was a back and forth type of game. And Steve Kerr said at one point they were up 8, and they thought they were going to pull away. And actually, Indiana took the lead. They were up by 2 with 7 minutes to go. And Jalen Rose said he was high-fiving, fist pumping, and everything. And he's like, "We got this." And there was a point where Indiana was up 3, and there's a jump ball, and the Bulls won the jump ball. And Steve Kerr hit the game-tying 3-pointer. And Reggie was like, "I really felt that was when the game changed for us. I thought that was deflated for us." And even Jalen was like, it's like a jolt of lightning went through the arena. And there was even another quote. It was like a 9th grade JV team. You didn't really have a shot at winning this game. So the Bulls knock out the Pacers. And that's how the episode ends. So until next time, may your ego come from a place that keeps you humble. I'm Mo Money Mamba out.